delighted to be joined by Marcel Marcondes, Chief Marketing Officer at AB InBev. Budweiser and Corona both feature in this year's Kantar BrandZ Top 100 ranking, and 8 AB InBev brands feature in the top 10 most valuable global beer brands ranking, with Modelo, Brahma, Michelob Ultra, Bud Light, Skol and Stella Artois listed alongside Budweiser and Corona. And Corona is our new #1 most valuable beer brand in the world. A huge congratulations to you, Marcel, and everyone at ABI for this fantastic achievement.
Wow, that's great. Well, thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone. And it's a huge honor to be here and to share these outstanding results. We celebrate that big time because building iconic brands is what we do for a living. We play the game of organic growth, and organic growth is all about being brand-led and consumer-centric. Our brands are by far the most important assets we have in the organization. So to have 8 out of the top 10 most valuable beer brands in the world, it matters a lot. And having now Corona as the #1 is a huge achievement. So we're extremely excited about it.
Yes, well, congratulations again. And I'm sure everyone is dying to know the secrets behind the success of some of these brands, including Corona. So let me start with a really broad question for you. How do you believe brands actually add value to businesses?
Well, Martin, we are all in playing the organic growth game, right? So I think for every company that is willing to grow organically, the brands are the most important assets of that given organization. So our philosophy, it's all about being brand-led and consumer-centric. This is what will guarantee our future. As we become more and more consumer-centric, we'll be better on understanding gaps and opportunities that we need to address to be really meaningful to the people we serve, because this is a human business and we always put people first. But once we have that clarity, it's all about the brands. It's all about the brands delivering against those functional and emotional needs that we identify coming from consumers, so that we can really build iconic brands. Brands that consumers not only understand, but also brands that consumers love. And this is the most powerful thing we can do as an organization to grow today and also to be in the right position to grow tomorrow. So this is why this is the most important thing for us as an organization.
And obviously you're a very large global company and you have a presence in many, many markets, but how do you balance that need for global consistency when it comes to building great brands with an element of localization and understanding the needs of local consumers too?
Beer is a very, very interesting category. Like more than half of the beer industry is still made of local brands, because these local brands, they represent the values of the country. They represent the culture. Right? Our brands are brands that people really relate with. It's part of people's lives. So this is why we always play with this balance. Our local brands, they really live to represent the values of a given nation, of a given country. Whereas the global brands, they bring the credibility of international brands that win abroad. And consumers, based on our insights, they value a lot both avenues. They really admire brands that bring the local pride to life at the same time as it's very aspirational to have global international brands that they know that are up to speed at the edge of trends, and they're bringing the best of the world to those markets. So that's the 1-2 kind of approach that we have pretty much in every market we operate, and it's proving to be a very successful move. Always, as we said in the beginning, anchored in very strong consumer insights and consumer understanding.
So I'm interested to focus on Corona. So one of our new entries into our Global 100 list this year, which is fantastic news for you guys and a great achievement. And I can see the Corona crown there behind you, which is a nice way to tee up my question. So what would you say is Corona's main point of difference? Would you think that that's emotional or more functional or a combination of both? And how do you go about maintaining that point of difference?
We're very excited to see Corona not only being part of the top 100 list, but being the #1 brand in that ranking, right? So having Corona as the most valuable beer brand in the world matters a lot for us. So we are the leading brewer in the world, and therefore we need to have the leading brands. So for us, as we said in the beginning, it's an honor to be here talking about your rankings and having 8 out of the top 10 brands in the world, and Corona as the number 1 is a big achievement. Having said that, I think that the superpower of Corona is exactly the fact that the brand lends both the functional and the emotional sides in a very smooth and integrated way. And the second point is that Corona acts with a lot of consistency over the years. So let's talk a little bit about those 2 elements. So first, on the functional and the emotional levels. Corona, emotionally speaking, stands for what we say here is Corona inspires people to disconnect from stress, from routine, to reconnect with their true selves. And that usually happens when you are outdoors, when you are outside. So Corona says that outside is our best side. This is why everything that Corona does, it's all about that moment of have a break from the routine, go outside, stay close to nature, and reconnect with nature, reconnect with your true nature, be yourself again, relax and enjoy. That's very powerful for any brand, and Corona does it very well. Now, the tough part is to make sure that it connects well with the functional side too. And because it's all about Corona is all about nature, Corona is made with 100% natural ingredients. And because Corona is all about inviting people to be outside, Corona takes care of the outside. So we have a lot of programs in terms of plastic-free products, protecting the beaches, removing plastic from the oceans, and from there we go. But it's not because Corona wants to be on the headlines. It's because it connects with the central reason for Corona to exist. So there's a reason for Corona to do that. So as we connect the emotional side and the functional side in a very smooth, authentic, and genuine way, this gives a lot of power for Corona as a brand, and consumers recognize it anywhere in the world. Now, the second point is exactly to be able to do that with consistency. I think, Martin, one of the key issues that we see on brand building nowadays is the fact that people want to change what the brand stands for. People want to chase culture, and then the brands easily become schizophrenic. And Corona is extremely consistent. Like Corona plays within the same platforms for decades. So you see that the experiential programs for Corona always start with Corona Sunsets, which is, one more time, the celebration of the spectacle, which is whenever there's a sunset, it's a nature spectacle. And this is the moment when you should relax, grab a Corona, and enjoy. This is the big experiential platform that the brand has for years. All the sustainability efforts that Corona has that I just mentioned, the brand has been doing that for years. The product composition, the craftsmanship of the packaging, the natural ingredients, it's been there for years. So we protect all the key elements of the brand as a sacred thing, so that the brand can keep bringing these functional and emotional elements to life with consistency over and over again.
And it certainly sounds as though Corona not only ticks the difference box, it certainly ticks the meaningful difference box, and no doubt that meaningful difference is a reason why the brand has broken into our global top 100 list this year. So that's fantastic. So at Kantar, we consider a brand's equity. We use a term consumer predisposition, somebody's predisposition to choose a particular brand. How do you approach actually creating content to positively impact your customers and your consumers' attitudes?
I think the answer is connected to what you just said. It's about being at the same time different and meaningful, right? So this is why we invest a lot on listening to consumers and really understanding what is the role that Corona can play in their lives. So one of the things we identified recently was that if we double click into this approach of disconnect to reconnect, take a break and stay outside, especially after the pandemic, there's a huge trend for consumers to value even more traveling. So having these experiences became even more important. There's a generation today that is not even saving money to buy a house anymore. They're saving money to have a meaningful trip, to have a meaningful experience. And this is, for example, what we're betting big behind with Corona. It connects 100% with what the brand stands for. And so it became a new platform for the brand. Travel is a new experiential platform for Corona. This is why we just did the first ever partnership with Airbnb, for example, the first ever partnership with TripAdvisor, so that we can really play a meaningful role to consumers to help them plan for that trip that they're saving money for, that they're really dreaming of, to make sure that they will get to that amazing destination where they're going to be able to enjoy that unforgettable sunset. We even locate the best places in the world for people to enjoy a sunset. So Corona starts playing a meaningful role in people to fulfill their dreams, what they're looking for, whenever they're thinking about taking a break, to disconnect, to reconnect to their true selves.
Well, I hope we get some of those sunsets in London over this summer. Depends on the British weather, but we will see. So moving on slightly, let's talk more about product format now. So do you see product format as a means of boosting the presence and the relevance of your brands to consumers too?
100%. That's extremely important because, of course, especially when we talk again about the functional side, the brand as a product needs to deliver. So we have a very serious program here at ABI, which is called Brand Superiority. And we track all of our brands against their main competitors on a yearly basis. And we track liquid performance, packaging performance, positioning, value perception, and a series of key attributes to make sure that our brands are always superior to the competition. So I don't need to get into a lot of details on how Corona stands on that analysis, because there's no way a brand like Corona would be the most valuable beer brand in the world if it wasn't clearly superior to the competition on the function attributes as well. But this is something that we track on a yearly basis to make sure that we're always at the top. At the end, consumers are very choiceful on how they invest their money, and despite of the emotional connection, they want a product and a beer and that really delivers against their needs. So this is a must for brands to be high performing and to be sustainable for the long term.
So let's finish with some final questions around how you go about identifying new spaces to grow your brands as a means to grow your brands. So how do you go about monitoring changing consumer needs to help identify potential new spaces for growth?
That's a great question. We're really obsessed about talking to consumers and understanding consumers, and we do that threefold, I would say. First, I mean, we collect a lot of data. I mean, you guys are great partners of ours, right, on really understanding trends, understanding consumers, and this is really, really extremely valuable information to guide our strategic efforts. And I mean, you know, right, given the amount of times we interact, how seriously we take that and how important those pieces of information are for us to drive our business and the brand programs. Second thing is on a more human level, we really believe that it's fundamentally important to complement consumer understanding, moving from data to really talking and building intimacy with our consumers. We really need to talk to them on a human level. So we have a big program here inside the company, which is all about consumer empathy. And all of our leaders, they must spend at least 30 hours per year interacting directly like this, face to face with consumers, so that we can have that interaction on a human level as well and understand all the nuances that you can only get when you're talking to another human being. This is a human business. So it's very important for us and for all of our commercial leadership. The third avenue we use for that is on leveraging our direct-to-consumer platform. This is great because this is when we have our apps that consumers use in a set of markets where we can operate direct to consumers. And so we can connect all the consumer understanding with purchase behavior and transactional data. So we understand when people buy our beers, what is the occasion, why, how many people are there. And then this becomes our social media program. So our app for DTC becomes our social media. So we not only understand consumers, but we interact with them with driving personalization at scale. And when we can have the human understanding of consumers, all the data to really deeply understand their behavior, and when we have an app, a tool to connect and interact with our consumers, driving personalization, one-to-one communication on a daily basis, this completely changes the way we work, because then it's a one-to-one thing, and there's nothing more powerful than connecting with consumers on a one-to-one basis. So these are the three avenues we use to really take this relationship with our consumers to the next level, and we're very excited about the new possibilities we have.
Sure, and yes, and maintaining that dialogue is obviously important, and it's something that you clearly give a lot of credence to. And my final question, again, continuing on the theme of new space, I just wondered if you could talk about a particular trend or behavior that you've identified previously that has helped you then lead to incremental growth and expansion. And not to put words in your mouth, Marcel, but I can see the Olympic rings behind you, the Corona logo, low alcohol is coming to mind. Maybe that's something you could talk about for us.
For sure. Thanks a lot for the question. And before I answer, I think it's good, if you don't mind, let's enjoy this logo a little bit.
There it is. We can see that. That's great.
This is our Olympic room. It's just because these are very exciting times for us, talking about Corona Zero, connecting with the Olympic Games for the first time ever. So here's the thing, back to the conversation we just had. After analyzing all the consumer trends and the consumer data, plus the interactions and the empathy, interacting with consumers on a human level, plus all the one-to-one interactions we've been having via DTC, it became clear to us that consumers are really starting to enjoy non-alcoholic beer. In the past, I think there was some prejudice about the taste, about the role of this product. But now, because we have much more evolved technologies to do non-alc beer, it's really a different ballgame. It's really a different kind of process to brew non-alc, and the quality of the non-alc beer is really superior now. Consumers are really starting to enjoy it. And it's very important for them, because for beer lovers, non-alc beer unlocks for them new occasions and more moments when they can enjoy the beer that they love. And again, back to the superiority conversation we spoke about a few minutes ago, we studied a lot how to do the perfect non-alc beer for Corona, and we landed in a very unique place. This brand has been winning multiple awards in terms of being the best non-alc beer in the world. With the lime, it's unbeatable. It's made with 100% natural ingredients. In a few markets, it even has vitamin D, which is the vitamin that you get from the sun, right? So again, everything's connected, both on the emotional and the functional level. So it's a very unique non-alc beer. It's a very unique proposition. And then we were looking for a way to really help us accelerate the meaning and the difference that we can bring with Corona Zero to consumers. And this is what led us to have a conversation with the International Olympic Committee prior to the Paris Games. And it was a great match. We presented our credentials and how we believe that the Olympic Games can be great, because given that the games during the Olympic Games, they happen throughout the day, this is the perfect opportunity for us to showcase how non-alc beer can unlock new consumption occasions, right? Consumers declare that beer is their beverage of choice while they're watching sports. So now with Corona Zero, they can watch the Olympic Games throughout the day in more occasions because it's non-alcoholic. So it's the perfect match. It's the perfect combination. And talking to the IOC, they saw that, and they said, we never had a beer as a global Olympic partner, but given this direction, given this focus, given this product proposition, we believe that it's about time for us to have beer as an Olympic sponsor for the first time in history. Also because we made the deal that our purpose as a company is to create a future with more cheers. So we want to bring a lot of celebration to the Olympic Games. That's when we perform at our best. And that is something that, is only positive, right? So this was the conversation we had with the IOC, and we got to this deal for the first time in history. And this is why we're so excited about it. It makes a lot of sense for consumers to be able to enjoy their beer in much more occasions. It makes a lot of sense for the brand, because it's all about fulfilling its promise of helping people to disconnect, to reconnect with their best selves. And it makes a lot of sense for the Olympics, so you can have consumers and fans more engaged and with a greater level of celebration of the Olympic Games as the biggest event on earth. So it couldn't be better. We couldn't be more excited about it. As we were talking before this chat started, we're just working like crazy because it's about to start. But this is when we strive, and this is the excitement we expect to bring to the category, to the industry, and to consumers.
Yeah, that's so interesting, and definitely looking forward to the games this summer, maybe with a Corona Zero or two along the way in the daytime. So Marcel, thank you so much for your time today. Fascinating as always, and hope to see you again in New York or London sometime soon.
For sure, to be continued. Thank you so much. Very honored to be here, and looking forward to our next adventures together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.